All right, welcome back to All Day Live, Thursday afternoon. Beautiful day out there. It's kind of nice. We're in a spot now where I can see windows to the outdoors to see the sun shining out there. What are we looking at now for current temperatures? 77, it looks like, outside. So go out and enjoy it. Kind of a wild story here that we want to talk about. Flock cameras. These are the, Flock is, I think, the name brand here. They are license plate reading cameras. Used for law enforcement purposes. A lot of concerns about the surveillance aspect of them, the big brotherish aspect of them. But, there's cameras everywhere these days. And these track your license plates. They can read them. And they are useful for, certainly criminal investigations, for warrant purposes, stolen vehicle purposes. Well, they apparently tracked the wrong vehicle, which led to Plymouth pulling over a man and his wife in a Kohl's parking lot. They thought the vehicle had been stolen, or at least that maybe the license plates had been stolen. As it turned out, that wasn't the case whatsoever. Corin Hogger joining us more to talk about this. And Corin, it looks like you have a guest here that would be involved in doing the story today. I assume this may be the man at the center of this experience.
That's right, Rob. This is Joel Fetter right here, and I'll kind of set you up a little bit. There are about 20 billion reads, basically, by flock cameras every month. They do make a lot of them accurate. 93% is what Flock says, but that still leaves 7%, more than a billion mistakes every month. In his case, hard to say if this was a mistake or if it read it accurately, but there was a mistake made, some human error, and I'll let Joel tell the story. Joel is with Drive.com, and we are in a Kohl's parking lot in Plymouth. Joel, why are we here?
Thanks for having me. A week and a half ago, I got surrounded by cops, boxed in right there in a $155,000 Range Rover Gold that I was testing, and it all started because flock cameras have been essentially, I was told, tracking me for a couple days. I kept disappearing into my garage, and but they finally caught up with me, and they thought the plates on that Range Rover were stolen. The short version of the story, it wasn't. There was a lot of confusion because it's very complicated. I don't own the car, and it was a complicated career to explain. There's an edge case here, but basically the plate had two little numbers. It was a weird formatted plate because of the manufacturer plate. Someone in LA at some point probably made an error inputting information into the system as a stolen plate. It got amplified immensely by flock cameras and AI. The AI did not read the edge case of like, why are there two missing numbers? There's just some of the numbers that match. Okay, disregard. And it flagged it as stolen. And then all of a sudden the cops surrounded me and my wife and they thought that the plate was stolen. Thank God my kids weren't with me.
Yeah, for sure. So that plate had two big numbers, two little numbers, and then three letters.
Correct.
And what's Flock is reading is just the two big and the three letters, correct?
So the Flock camera, I had the police actually showed me the Flock app, and they showed me the photo both of the Range Rover going through the actual green light, but then also a zoomed in photo of the plate, because they get both. And the Flock camera saw the whole plate. But what it disregarded was the two little numbers. Again, it's a weird formatting because the manufacturer plate, hence the edge case situation, but it's still a situation, it happens. And it read the two big numbers and the three big letters, which did match what was inputted into the system as a stolen plate.
And so you're going through this whole thing in this parking lot, and you're kind of trickling new information out of them as it goes. So, I mean, how did this end up reported stolen and the mismatch end up happening?
At the time, I was told that it was reported stolen by the LAPD back in Los Angeles, and supposedly what the police here knew at the time was that the LAPD had the plate reported stolen by a Jaguar Land Rover dealer in LA, right? And so for me, at the time, I was like, suddenly guessing, well, maybe it is stolen. Like, someone could have slapped the plate on that at any point, right? He rides on a truck. How would I know? It wasn't stolen, by the way. It didn't match up. The reality is that when I got the police report, and we verified it wasn't stolen, all the things, I left, parked the car, so that all the follow-up could happen. The next day, when as a journalist, I requested the police report, it was at the bottom of the police report I actually learned that during a photo shoot for Jaguar Land Rover, and who knows if it was them or a third party, I don't know. It doesn't really matter, right? A plate was stolen. Or a plate was lost. It happens. That plate got reported to LAPD as lost. LAPD probably either entered it wrong, was told it wrong. I don't really know where the communication error happened, but when you report a plate lost, it gets reported as stolen, so that if it turns up on a car, someone must have found it and they just slapped it on a car, and that's where things start turning bad. That little microcosm got amplified nationwide through the flock camera system, which relies on AI to match the plate to the reports.
And it wasn't just you who registered with Flock as having a stolen vehicle, this particular stolen vehicle.
Correct. So the police that day, Plymouth PD, informed me there were 4, including mine, cars roaming the state of Minnesota, setting off Flock cameras with 34 DTM as of then. Then when I was talking to Range Rover Jaguar and they learned about all this, I learned that there are about, give or take, 15 vehicles in the nationwide fleet that were press and media and whatever to use that also had a combination of the 34 DTM with the 2 little numbers. They instantly froze them in fleets. They canceled loans. They don't want this to happen. Till the situation is corrected, they'll get it corrected, and then I'm sure they'll loan the cars out again. But no, it was not just one car.
So what does this tell you, as someone who works kind of in this industry here, about the connection between these Flock cameras, which we know there are 15 just here in Plymouth, you know, these vehicles, some of the mistakes that can be made, whether human or AI, and just general safety for folks who are in these vehicles?
I mean, it's a pretty loaded question. On the whole, we basically have cameras that are mapping your life digitally that from a private company that the federal government can then tap, whether it's local municipalities or feds, ICE, whatever, right? But in the microcosm of what we're talking about right now, the reality is a human error was made, which it happens. Like, you and I make errors. But then AI, which is supposed to have guardrails and like be smarter than us in theory because it feeds off all this information, running on Flock cameras just exploded and amplified that error nationwide. And lucky outcome. No one got hurt. Everything was fine. I was cool, calm, and collected. You know, eventually I was like, wow, this is going to be a story, right? And I think that they instantly realized, but yeah, no, but hopefully it also brings to light a real issue that human errors can now be completely exploded and amplified by this technology that can be used for good or evil, as we've seen many times in reportings. And I think the real takeaway here is that maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, but the reality is we need more guardrails and more systems in place, checks and balances, to make sure this doesn't happen, right? Like, at a whole, I had an automaker call me yesterday after my story went live, and they said, well, I mean, I'm so glad you're all right. What can we do to make sure this never happens with our press fleet? And the simple thing I said is, look, people lose plates, people steal plates. It happens. You can't stop that. If you have to report a plate stolen, at a minimum, make darn sure, triple sure, that plate is in the system correctly. Like, step 1 is if you feed it bad information, we're going to get bad results. You have to feed it good information at every level.
Cascade of bad results.
Cascade of issues.
Yeah. So yeah, that's we're talking to the ACLU about some of these potential constitutional issues. Along with this, the state of Minnesota has tried to limit how these automated license plate readers are used. We'll get into all of that in later editions of Fox 9 News. But Rob, if you have any questions, we'll go ahead and add those on too.
Yeah, well, you know, I read, you know, what he had written up about this, and it sounds like, you know, he was getting ready to, with his wife, to pull out of a parking spot there when he was surrounded. I mean, that experience, I would imagine, had to be not just confusing, but a little frightening.
You know what? I asked him that earlier, but I'll let him answer that as well. You know, he's talking about the fact that you are surrounded in your vehicle.
Yep.
And that you're there with your wife, and that's a little unsettling, perhaps, and maybe even frightening.
I would say, it was funny, because when it all happened, the first thing I said was, I turned to my wife, I was like, I wasn't even speeding. I legitimately knew I'd done nothing wrong. And I think part of what helped the whole situation is that we both knew we did nothing wrong. And I also, again, edge case, I instantly knew this was going to be complicated because, again, if you get pulled over in a press car for speeding, the complicated nature of explaining who owns this car, who insures this car, why do you have this car. I got 4 cops, 4 cop cars, and they're all lit up and they got their hands in their holsters. So it's like, you need to know I'm not armed. You need to know I'm not a danger. I'm not about to fight and whatever. We're going to talk through it and because I didn't do anything wrong. My kids weren't with me. Like, legitimately, I think that is a really key thing in this situation for me. My wife is a calm person. I'm a journalist and deal with police and ask for reports and all these things. I'm in press cars that I don't own all the time. So situationally, I've been kind of through something like this. Not like this, but, you know, it wasn't great. And it was definitely like, there's a lot of cops here right now. What is happening? It seemed like a lot of cops.
Yeah. And, I mean, you know, most people would maybe feel unsafe. You not knowing.
100%, that would be a natural feeling. And like I just said, if my kids had been in the car, we would be having a very different discussion, and I don't know what that police report would look like right now.
Yeah. We're also working with Plymouth Police to get the video there, and, you know, we're going to follow up on this until we get the whole story, Rob.
Yeah, very interesting, and it brings out a lot of questions about, you know, how these are useful devices. And the AI is you know, its own thing. It doesn't mean it's foolproof here. Very interesting. Thanks, Corin. All right.